Hello guys, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be reacting to this video titled 10 Shocking Myths about Atheism Debunked. So yeah, let's get into it.
What's up everybody and welcome back to my channel. Today we are discussing a topic that always sparks intense debate, atheism. I know, that's something that I never really talk about here, but we're going to try. Today we're going to discuss 10 shocking myths about atheism that you often hear people say, and we're going to go through each of them and debunk them. And before we dive in, just want to remind you guys, make sure you like this video, subscribe, and hit that bell icon to see more videos on atheism and other topics from me in the future. Myth number 1, atheism is a belief system. Many people, and a lot of people say this, and it gets under my skin probably the most, people say that it's a belief system like any other religion. In reality, atheism is just the lack of a belief in any god or gods. It's not a structured belief system with doctrines and rituals or holy books.
I agree with this. It's more not believing in anything rather than believing in fiction, essentially, put in short.
I use this example a lot. If you are asymptomatic, it means you are not having symptoms of something. If you are an atheist, you just don't have religion. And since we're talking about belief, I also like to mention knowledge. There is the term agnostic. The root of the word agnostic is gnostic, which means knowledge. So just as asymptomatic means no symptoms, or atheist means no belief in a deity, agnostic means to not have knowledge. I personally think that everybody is agnostic. Nobody has answers that aren't out there. And please don't say, look at the trees or the babies. Just hear me out here. You can strongly believe in something, but that does not equate to a solid answer. Sorry, it just doesn't. I know I'm going to cause problems with this one, but I just wanted to throw that out there because people are going to be like, well, what about agnosticism? It's not a belief system either. That literally only speaks...
I have heard in the past that agnosticism is more a knowledge-based term and atheism is more like a prediction-ish term, like prediction or what you think is the case term. So I think it is valid to be both an agnostic and an atheist.
To the knowledge you have. And if you say, I don't know, therefore I'm not going to say I believe or don't believe, well, you're an atheist. If you're not saying you believe, that's all it is. I know it's a scary word, but let's just destigmatize it, please. Because it makes people think we don't have morals. We'll get there. Myth number 2, atheists have no morals. One of the most persistent myths is that atheists have no moral compass. Truth is, morality doesn't require religion, and oftentimes is better without it. But atheists can and do follow ethical principles on empathy and social well-being. Personally, I do think our society is driven by a secular morality. Otherwise, you would see people getting stoned in the streets, but that's just me. Myth number 3, atheists think...
I can see where she got the point from, but morality, you don't need religion to be a moral person. Morality is subjective. Even if a god exists, morality is subjective because it's what you decide for yourself rather than something which exists out of the human brain.
That everything is random. Some myths claim that atheists believe that everything in the universe came about by chance. But natural selection itself is not random at all. The survival and reproductive success of an individual is directly related to the ways its inherited traits function in the context of its local environment.
Makes sense.
As for our origins as an atheist, I say I don't know. Scary words for a lot of people. Yes, there are theories, but if we get down to the very bottom of all of it, there are a lot of unanswered questions. I just simply don't want to fill in the blank with God because I don't know. Which brings me back to the idea that atheism is not a belief system. We also don't believe actively that the universe came from nothing. We might find people who make arguments for it or against it. I don't really care. At the bottom line, atheism has nothing to do with that. It's really just not believing in God, guys. It's not that complicated. And just because the origins of life may be unknown, even though I'm an atheist, with all my lack of morality and stuff, I do care about the sustainability of our life. According to a recent report, last year likely represented the peak of carbon emissions from the electricity sector. The turning point came as a result of super high rates of clean power growth. Renewable sources generated 30% of the world's electricity for the first time. And there's reason to believe that more is yet to come, as many sunny countries have still yet to harness...
I will say that energy production is becoming more renewable based over time, yeah.
The energy, including Egypt, Pakistan, and Saudi Arabia, among others, who still generate less than 3% of their electricity from solar. As we look ahead into summer, it's a great idea to take on personal projects in your own living space. Did you know that insulating your windows and around ACs and preventing air from leaving through your windows could save you up to 30% on energy costs? You can also get plastic sheets that stick to your windows.
Yeah, but it's just an ad, so let's get past this.
Okay. Block
atheists make people feel like life is meaningless. Not really. I think that's more an assumption that other people have on atheists, that they think that life is meaningless, even though couldn't be further from the truth. Like in a lot of religions, heaven and hell is a concept, but if you have an atheistic worldview, you think that this is the only consciousness you'll ever have before or after your life. So if anything, that really boosts your motivation to live a good life before you die.
People think that atheists, without having belief in some kind of deity, feel that life is totally meaningless. Like, what's the point of being here? And some people even say that atheism will inevitably lead to nihilism, which is the belief that life is meaningless. While, of course, some atheists may be nihilists, and people of all types could be nihilists. Many of us find rich and fulfilling sources of meaning without religious belief. Don't worry, we're okay. Which brings me to myth number 5. Atheists are unhappy people. There's the stereotype that we're all walking around super
Untrue.
depressed. And let me tell you, depression, it affects all types. But again, happiness does not depend on religious belief. Atheists are perfectly fine finding happiness in various aspects of life. Actually, we find happiness and meaning in many different ways. You got relationships, you got personal growth, you got helping others, you got believing in Jesus. Maybe not that last one, but all the other ones are solid. It's just,
I think these are very surface level myths which people would probably initially think, even though it's not really like a deep rooted thing that a lot of people think that we have. It's more, I think they just think more about the general idea and actually disregard the individual entirely, really, because being unhappy is not really a matter of what your religious beliefs are. It's more about what that individual feels, really.
Being a human and enjoying life. I might argue some people who are not religious might actually enjoy life even more, and not because we're walking around with zero morals, just pillaging.
That is true, and I think a lot of religious people can enjoy life more than atheists, but that doesn't mean that their worldview is true.
In the streets and setting everything on fire, but honestly, it's because you have one life. There's no magical afterlife, pearly gates waiting for you, so enjoy it while it lasts. I also can't even begin to tell you how many lives have been dimmed by religion. I mean, imagine if you're a member of the LGBTQ+ community. You're gonna spend
Yes, religion has dimmed the quality of life of many people throughout the course of history, yes.
All that time with religious indoctrination, having them tell you you're not even allowed to love who you love or be who you want to be. That is a miserable life to live, and it's largely because of religion. A little hard to be happy when you got the "it's Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve" finger pointing in your face. I just thought it'd be really funny if you had 3 kids, 2 boys and a girl, and you named them Adam, Eve, and Steve. That would be really funny. I missed my chance on that one. I've also heard people say that they're okay to basically sacrifice or postpone their happiness until they're dead, basically. They don't pursue what they want to pursue while they're on Earth. And I'm not even saying heathenistic things, right? I'm just saying they don't pursue their passions and they make endless sacrifices and live sort of a miserable life because they're waiting for some sort of reward.
Yeah, I can see why someone would think that.
How sad and depressing is that? I've actually seen that play out in various different ways, and it's pretty heartbreaking. Myth number 6. Atheists hate God.
Why do you hate God? Because he took everything away from me.
It's super common to hear that you're just an atheist because you're angry.
Honestly, I don't care if a God exists or not, because it wouldn't really change anything if it was proven that a God exists, or if it was proven that a God doesn't exist. My life would just go to how it has always been gone. We don't hate it. I am an agnostic atheist, by the way, but I don't hate it. It's just I don't think it's true, and I think it's just a made-up concept that man made up.
God, or you went through something in your life and it made you mad at Jesus. No, I just don't believe that, either of those things exist. I mean, I say either of those things, but really it's supposed to be one thing. It's all very confusing. But no, we're not mad at God. We might be mad at religion or the consequences that religion has on people, but to be mad at something that doesn't exist is just not a thing. Literally, not a thing. Atheists typically reject the idea of God instead of harboring some
I will say that there are some people who would hate God, but that shouldn't really represent all atheists.
anger towards it. Him, them, They, them, I don't know. And just so you guys know, I'm also not harboring any judgment against unicorns that I don't think are real. I don't lose sleep over being pissed off at unicorns. You just can't be mad at something that you don't think exists. Okay, Kevin Sorbo?
I hate God.
Myth number 7, atheism is just another religion. Now, I sort of tackled this into atheism being a belief thing, but
This sounds like it's just the same points twice.
let's expand. Not worshipping any god or gods, not even believing that any god or gods exist. It's just the absence of doing something that a lot of people are doing. And just because something is popular doesn't mean something is true. Not believing in your religion is not a religion in and of itself. I feel the need to say this many, many times and almost double it in this video because this one pisses me off so much and you hear it all of the time. Atheism lacks the key elements of religion, such as believing in a deity, rituals,
Makes
religious
sense.
texts. Unless you are an a-leprechaunist and you go out of your way to actively not believe in...
Oh yeah, believing in God is the same as believing in fairies or gnomes walking around your garden and stuff like that. It's just that, yeah, if people... This is something I like to think about. If God was a concept which was made up 10 years ago, and except for that time period, no one ever believed in any gods or anything supernatural, people would think that those people are crazy. I think it's just that people have more sympathy because it's been something that humans have thought about for a very long time.
leprechauns. You think about it day and night, it basically consumes you. You tithe to it. If you don't believe in leprechauns, I'll let you off the hook. And I will not say that that in and of itself is a religion. That's what I feel like you're saying to me. Myth number 8, atheists can't explain miracles. Miracles are often...
Miracles are a social construct, really. It's relative to how the person sees them.
often cited as evidence of a deity. Because, circular logic. I often see the same thing with religious texts like, well, the Bible is proof of God, which I can agree to as much as I think Harry Potter books prove that Hogwarts is real. Atheists generally view miracles with skepticism and will want proof. The burden of proof lies on the person claiming the miracles are real, right? Not the people who are kind of raising an eyebrow at it. Myth 9, atheists are closed-minded. Contrary to this, atheists often advocate for open-mindedness and critical thinking. A lot of us were once religious and came to atheism through questions and exploration. When you've been indoctrinated for a long
I will say that if someone is intellectually honest and a critical thinker, they're most likely to be atheistic, yeah, or at least secular in some sort of way.
time and everybody in your family and community thinks a type of way, it is definitely a difficult process to step away. It can be a lot easier to just fit in with everybody and answer God to questions that you don't have answers to. Which brings me to myth number 10. Atheists don't exist. I'm not real.
I don't see why someone would think that initially, but we do exist. Let's see what she says about it.
I can't tell you how many times I've heard this. I even made like a funny TikTok about it one time back in the day.
Fact. There's no such thing as a true atheist. You really do believe in God. You're just too stubborn and rebellious to admit it.
Gotta love that. No. In all seriousness, they're getting at the idea that, like, deep down, you really do believe in God. Which, personally, I think is incredibly condescending. I mean, imagine if I went up to a religious person and I'm like, well, you might think that you're praying right now, but deep down, you know it's all bullshit.
Yeah, it can be reversed very quickly and easily, just like that.
Although sometimes I do feel... I know this might be hard to accept for someone who is truly religious. If you truly have a deep faith, it might be confusing to understand that there are those of us out there that just don't feel the same way. But just because you can't relate to somebody doesn't mean that their thoughts and feelings aren't valid, and it certainly doesn't mean that they don't exist. There are many, many people out there, myself included, who truly just don't believe in God.
Yeah, it's just as simple as that, really.
We are real, and we do exist. And that's the biggest difference between an atheist and God. Okay, alright. Thank you guys so much for watching. Those are the 10...
Okay, that's the end of the video, really. And thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.